Welcome to another episode of Lip Gloss and Ladder, special edition of HiiEnd with your girl, Charm City Gabby. This week, I am so excited to chat with my new best friend and hopefully your new
Yes.
best friend, Dora. Dora, welcome.
Hello.
So, tell me about yourself. Tell me about wrestling. What got you into wrestling? Tell me all of the good things.
Okay, so when I was little, it was always like my dad and my brothers would watch it. So I would watch it during that time. That was like when Edge and Christian, like the Dudleys,
Mm.
like Hardys, because Jeff Hardy's like, that was the love of my life. The love of my life when I
You
was
are like the second person
little.
that I know that is in love with Jeff Hardy, and I'm
I
just like,
I don't know
I
what it
see
is, but
it.
I love that man. Like that's like my biggest crush like ever. Like I don't like a lot of white men, but he's one of my crushes. So yes.
I understand that. Same, girl, same. I
Yeah.
like Hook and I like Colton Gunn. And everyone's like, "What?"
Hook's
And I'm like,
such
"I
a
don't
cute
know."
Hook is a cute he's such a little cutie. I've seen him live twice because in San Antonio they have a lot of shows like AEW
Mhm.
and Austin, and I was like, oh, who's this young man? He's such a little cutie
And his
too.
little hair, like, I don't know,
Yes.
he just
He's
got a
cute.
little
No,
he
I
got the
definitely.
aura.
I like him. Yeah, he's had the aura and he's been so young when he started and just built himself up. And I mean, I think they're doing an okay job. Like, you can't rush everybody to get to where you want them to be. And he's slowly built himself up to where he's at. So I totally agree.
All right, girl,
But
my bad. We got off on a side quest. But yes,
But
wrestling.
yeah. So basically, so I started there, and then in high school, I actually wrestled myself because my brother wrestled.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I wrestled from 9th through senior year, and then I went on 2 years to wrestle in college.
Tell
And
me
then
about that. No, pause. We have to talk about that.
yes. So, okay,
Tell me
so
about
this
that.
is my story too. Okay, so I pretty much am a self-taught wrestler because my ninth grade year was the only year we had a wrestling coach that knew what she was doing. After that,
Hmm.
they threw us
Oh,
like
and
this.
you had a woman coach?
Yes, because they always tried to make sure we had women, because they wanted women
Mhm.
in the, like that. So we had one women coach, and she did great. I really enjoyed her. But then she left the following year. I can't remember what for, but then they ended up like my sophomore year. They threw us like I can't remember if she was a softball or a baseball coach, but she knew nothing. So it was all of
Mm.
us pretty much teaching her. And then the same thing my junior year. I can't even remember who my coach was my junior year, but it was always like they were just grabbing any kind of coach that was a female coach from any other sport. Like, hey, we pretty much just need someone to watch them. They already know what they're doing. Just come. So then my senior year, we ended up getting Coach Lopez, and he ended up, I think he's still coaching now.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he knew nothing about wrestling either. He was actually a football coach and a health teacher. So that year, it was the same thing. It was us teaching him, coaching him, and getting him comfortable with teaching women because he had only ever taught boys before also. So he was just like very hesitant. So he wouldn't really do moves with us. It was just like us
Mhm.
showing him. But after that, it's kind of been bigger. So after like my senior year, they kind of started winning after that. Not that we weren't good before, but it just got better because they finally had a coach that was willing to stay. And even though it wasn't a woman, it was like, that's fine because he's doing the work. They're winning like championships. Like, let's do it. And then my story was from freshman to junior year, there was someone already in the 148 weight class. I only weighed 145 pounds. And through those 3 years, I had to wrestle the 165 weight class, the 185, and the 215. And
215?
yes. Oh my gosh. I remember that girl. I wrestled her and I beat her after she squashed me because she tried to land on me and like use her weight. And I remember like I gasped and I was like, ugh, and like I crawled out from under her and then I like beat her after that because she got so tired. I will say, like all the years that I wrestled, the girls, like the bigger girls in my district, they were not trained like very well. They were just trained to
Mhm.
use their weight and roll each other. And it was like, you
Got
can't do
you.
that. Like you can do that in our district because everyone kind of like, sucks in your weight class. But when you get up to like state and regionals, like you can't do that with these people. Like these girls have actual coaches who were coaching them since they were freshmen, maybe even before, because San Antonio and Austin have a lot of wrestling clubs in Texas. And we were only allowed to do Greco-Roman. We don't do freestyle. So I didn't learn how to do any freestyle till I went to college because we were not allowed to do it. And then at the same time, since we had different coaches in and out, we would always kind of wrestle with the boys. But most of the time we were a lot better than the boys. So they would always they didn't want us in there because when we beat them, they would their ego was hurt.
Of course.
So it was like crazy. And then my 2 years in college, I was pretty much redshirted because my hips were always messed up and my shoulders were always just they're like, she can't be on the mats like this. And I will admit I was kind of lazy. I don't like to run. I'm not a runner, never liked running. Even when in high school, I was like, don't make me run. I'll jog though. I'm a jogger. I'll jog my little heart out, but I don't like to sweat either. I swear I was the worst person to be doing any kind of sports. But basically there was one day that Carl, that was our wrestling coach, he's like, okay, so today what we're going to do is we're going to try and make Laura sweat. And so pretty much the whole practice was him throwing girls at me and wrestling them till I would sweat. I think we had to stay, I can't remember how long we had to practice because I just was not sweating. And they're like, how is she doing this? And I'm like, I just don't like it, guys. I can wrestle with you, but I don't want to I don't like the stickiness. And then, and it was a typical kind of gym where we wrestled in the gym, but they didn't have air conditioning on because most wrestling, they're like, we don't need air conditioning. So I remember even in high school, our portable did not have very much air conditioning. It had the small little air condition that barely filled up the room. So yeah, but after that, after my second year, that's when I got pregnant with my daughter. So I kind of I taught wrestling in my hometown to the girls while I was pregnant, up until I think 5 months. Because after that they were getting freaked out because my daughter was kicking.
Yeah, so I would be too. And at that point you're showing and
yeah. No, I will say I didn't show till about 6 or 7 months because my torso is pretty long. So my daughter pretty much was always in my ribs. She had all the room in my ribs. So yeah, so it was it was fine. I was always no, I swear I'm not putting that much force. The baby's fine. But after that, I literally just kind of left it alone and I didn't even watch wrestling. I wasn't in anything because I was I'm a mom now. I got to watch cartoons and, anything that my girls were watching at the time. So I didn't get back into wrestling until November of 2020 when I started going to local indie shows here in Austin and in San Antonio and everything. And that's kind of these past 4 years have been just me catching up kind of with everything. I missed so many eras. I will admit I did watch Total Divas. I didn't completely.
You have to.
Yes, I couldn't resist. I was I have to. So I kind of was watching the women's revolution at that time, but I wasn't too much able to get into it because I said, my daughters were younger. They weren't very into it at the time. It was more different, cartoons, Monster High, stuff like that. So after that, that's when I started in November 2020, that's when I just started heavily getting back into it. So that's why I go to indie shows now. I'll go to WWE shows if they are in Austin because they have a lot over in Cedar Park, and then now in San Antonio they have a ton of shows. So I've just really been just building up going back to women's wrestling because my friend Trey, the one that I did do the We Love Wrestling podcast with, he's the one that came up to me in February 2021 and was like, hey, would you be interested in being on the podcast? Because he saw that I was at women's shows and I was all about women because I very much have always been about the women's wrestling aspect of it because I had always heard how terrible it was, not terrible, but how bad it was towards the women. No one wanted to book them, all that. So when I started going to the Mission Pro Wrestling, the one that's owned by Thunder Rosa, that's an AEW, her shows. When I saw her shows, I was hooked again. I was she literally, it's just women. I don't see any men in this ring. There was men helpers to set up the ring and stuff like that. But, it was really just women. And that's what I loved about it. Women photographers, women camera women. it was always the women, and that's what got me back, and that's kind of why I love it so much now, and why I just preach like women's wrestling, like the protection of the women, like be careful who you're booking with, be careful with like just everything. So that's pretty much how I got back into it.
Okay, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So who are your favorites right now?
Right now, women riser, I would say women wise.
Women.
I guess I have a lot more like indie wrestler favorites than
Okay.
actual like, yeah. So I would
But the
say
indie girls are doing it big these days.
they're
Cause
doing,
like, let me tell you, like
yes,
Jada Stone killing it. Like there were
yes,
several
Maya
like
World,
yes.
yes. Who else? Missa Kate. Let
Mm-hmm.
me think. Misty Marks is someone that I feel like there's not a lot of people who know about her, but she's really good. She trains at Dog Pound here in San
Mm-hmm.
Antonio, with Jazz and all of them. And she was training with Thunder Rosa for a little bit. She was on the Mission Pro shows. HiiEnd for sure. I love her. Rachel Rose. Trying to think. Obviously, I love Thunder Rosa. I actually love what they did with Toni Storm. I did enjoy her so much. And then I do love Jade, Bianca, Naomi, of course. I love them. I'm not too into Liv. I don't get her. I don't get what they're doing with
Really?
her. Yes, I don't like Liv. Like
Mm-hmm.
I know I've seen her before and I see her now and it's like, what did they do to you? Is just how I feel. Like, what are they doing to you? Because you were good. You were someone that everyone was like, this is the girl. And then now you're just stuck in this weird storyline, like fighting for a man. And I
You know what? I literally never even thought about it that way. That's a very interesting take on Liv
Mhm.
Morgan.
Yeah, it's the
Hmm.
same thing. Like that's why I was like, I don't understand what has happened to Sasha Banks either. Like Money Monet, like she was same thing. Like I enjoyed her over in WWE when she crossed over to AEW. I don't know like what happened with her either. Like I don't understand her story either. Like I just don't know where they're going, and I need them to like decide. I just feel like
She
there's.
lost when
Mhm,
Monet came back. I think that like I talk about this so much. Like
mhm,
she lost the WWE machine, you know, like she
mhm,
lost like the glow and like the ability to always look on top. Like I'm not saying she doesn't look on top now. Like she definitely, I
yeah.
mean, obviously she's a champion, like she's on top for sure. But even in like her worst of days and worst of matches in WWE, she
Mhm.
was still a star. And now I just feel like she's just the average wrestler right now. Like, I don't know,
Yeah,
like she
like
needs to get her mojo back of some sort.
yeah,
I
because
don't know
that.
if AEW has it, but she's got to get back to Sasha because Sasha was a beast.
Yes, exactly. And I just don't like I don't know what that's why I'm always like, what is going on? Like I'm like I feel like she grew so much and then like she came to AEW and I don't know, like maybe she just stopped growing kind of thing where she didn't
Perhaps,
that because
but
that's how
also like,
I feel like Britt Baker, same thing happened to her. Cause I feel like she was doing so good. Like I did kind of like her for a little bit until like the Thunder Rosa stuff. But then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give her a chance. Maybe when she comes back, it'll be like a better. But then even when she came back, she's so stiff. She's like not doing the moves. That's why I'm like, what did they do to like what are they doing with these storylines? Like, why don't these women want to work together? Cause like if it had I feel like if it had been other people or other women with Sasha Banks, they would have helped her sell the moves. They would have helped her, with the certain moves that she does. Cause I know people are always like, she's tiny, or like kind of even with like Roxanne, they're like, she's too small
mm-hmm,
to be doing stuff. And I'm like, no, like you don't understand like what these women were doing in the indies. Cause the Texas indies, like because most of them were trained by Thunder Rosa or at some point were there with Thunder Rosa, when she does her productions with Mission Pro, it's like she's doing a production like a WW or AEW.
mm-hmm.
She has the camera, she does the stories, she does the feuds, she makes sure like you record like the little what is it called? I don't know the word, but your little scenes before where you're like talking to your
Oh, your
rival.
promos.
Yeah, your
Yeah, your
promos.
promos.
Sorry, I could not think of the word. But the promos, like she makes sure she even teaches you like the promos. That's why I know it's a lot of people like feel, about Ren, but Maddie Rankowski when she was in the indies, she was really really good. Same
Mm-hmm.
thing with her. Like these women have gone through so much because they make sure they're traveling. They make sure they're in not just Texas, they go and travel other states, they get those belts and they bring them back because they're putting in the work because they know that they have to have their name out there. Like that's the one thing I do like with that situation with Thunder Rosa, with all of that, is that she pushes you and she makes sure your name is in all these rooms. If you're a great wrestler, like with Maya World, Maya, same.
Mm-hmm.
Once she got there to Mission Pro, it was like she took off. Not that she wasn't taking off over there, but like with her,
You have to have that machine behind you. You have to have that force. You have to have someone who like can guide you properly and can put you, like you said, in those rooms that you need to be in. You can be amazing all by yourself, but sometimes you do need someone for that to reach back and grab that hand.
yes,
And you're
that's
pretty
what
much
Black
saying
Wrestling,
Thunder
yes.
Rosa does. She reaches back and grabs that hand
Exactly.
and pulls you in. So
And
absolutely,
that's
you definitely
exactly
need
what the
that.
Black Wrestling podcast is doing. That's what Trey was doing,
Mm-hmm.
what We Love Wrestling. That's what Down for the Count does. Like that's what all that group of the Melanin Mafia is what they were called. Like that's what they do. They put your name. They're the ones that are tweeting, making stories, writing posts. They're the ones doing that. That's why when I join with We Love Wrestling, that's all I do. Like if you see my timeline, it's not that I don't talk about anything, because let me tell you, Vanderpump Rules is my shit. Like I love
A
that.
good reality TV. I understand.
Yes,
I
I'm a
understand.
very reality TV person, but like I remember at one point when I first started following Math, I told him don't follow me because you're gonna see like it's Vanderpump Rules season. That's what you're gonna see from me is wrestling and Vanderpump Rules. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember one day he tweeted like, Laura, I can't, all I'm seeing is Vanderpump Rules. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I'll go like some other stuff. Just give me some time. So I just spent like an hour liking like wrestling stuff and other stuff because I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know like my likes and like my retweets were so much in everybody's feed like that. But that's where I kind of understood that like I'm not with anybody, like any particular podcast, or I don't like have a particular brand or anything, but I definitely am like, I'm all about making sure women, especially if that, like I've met you, if I interviewed you or I met you in person, like I will write hard. Like that's why like with Maya, I write so hard because I interviewed her at first and then I met her in person. And I
Mm-hmm.
like loved her since I met her. And then London Dior, who also graduated, I think a few months after Maya, when
Mm-hmm.
they're good friends too. There's Calientita out of San Antonio. She's very, very good. I know Roxanne just like when they were asking when the Ringer with her interview, she was just shouting out some people and she was one of the ones because Kali is very good. And she's only kind of been in the Texas circuit, like going around with matches, but she's a great wrestler. She goes hard and she works for it too. She'll be there on time. And she's a great wrestler. Like there's so many women that just need the opportunity. And that's pretty much what they're getting now. They're getting the opportunity because people, not even just in Texas, we're getting out the word through Black wrestling. We're getting them on the East Coast. We're getting them on the West Coast. There's another girl, Zara Zacher. She's out of the West Coast. She's a fantastic wrestler too. I love her too. We interviewed her too. And after that, like that was one of the things that I do miss about Trey is Trey very much was in everything, but you wouldn't even know that he was in so much. Like he had his hands in kind of every kind of pot you can think of. And anytime he saw, all he had to do was see you do one match. And after that, he would be like, you're it. I know you're going to be good. And he
I
would
loved his
push you.
support for the Renegade Twins.
Yes.
Like,
Oh my gosh. Yes, I love the girls. Yes, yes, yes. They
mm-hmm.
were like the first people that I met ever through Trey. Because when they were at a show for Mission Pro, that's the first day I met Trey. And he was like, hey, come here, like come meet the twins. And I was like, oh my gosh, no, like I can't. Oh my gosh. And like, they literally were so nice. They took pictures of my daughters because I had started taking my daughters at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So we have pictures of like the Renegade Twins, like picking them up and my daughter's just like doing little things with them. But I love them. I really I hated the fact that for so long that they were just getting used to like lose. Like I remember we would always have that conversation. Like I'm tired of seeing the girls lose. Like they're fighting and they're fighting and fighting and they need some wins. So when Robin started they started developing her more and she started getting the wins. I was like, thank
So
goodness.
excited.
Yes, I was like, thank God, like thank goodness that people are seeing what everyone else was seeing. Like it was just like it's so gratifying because you're like, oh my gosh, people are seeing what I'm seeing finally. Like people are seeing what everyone else is seeing. Like the voices are getting heard now for women, and I feel like that's great because before, like I said, seeing a 2-minute match on WWE, like what are they gonna do?
Or those like 3 seconds on AEW Dark matches they had. Like that's kind of the one thing that I can say that I do miss about like Dark, is that you did get a chance to see wrestlers like before, because like Willow was all over Dark.
Yeah, she was all over. I went to a few
Look at
shows,
Willow.
yes, and she was definitely every single Dark show she was on it because they built her up so well too. I was crying when she lost the belt. I was like, give it back to her. Sasha doesn't.
I had
Monet
a
doesn't need
rant.
it yet. So.
I had a rant on my podcast about her because like I feel like everyone's willing to put a title on Willow but AEW. Like they gave her the transitional champion for like what 30 days maybe before Mona. And I understand like the story behind it. Like don't get me wrong, like I get it. But it's weird that like everyone puts belts on Willow but AEW. Like NJPW.
Yes,
Everyone
they
will
were
put a
fast.
belt on
Like let's
Willow.
yes, exactly.
But AEW won't, and I just don't know what it is, where the disconnect is, because she is like literally the baby face. Like when you think of baby face wrestling women, you in AEW, honestly, in WWE as well, you think of Willow Nightingale. Like
Yeah, because she's never, and even when she turned like a little bit dark, it wasn't like I don't think it was dark. It wasn't like dark enough. She wasn't like she's not a
it was
heel
still
person.
baby face. Like even when
Yeah,
she had her street matches and she had on like her camo and her oats and
yes,
Dudley's
but it was
with
still
her and
cute because
Ruby
you're like,
Riot,
oh
she
Willow, what are
still was
you
like,
doing?
girl,
Yeah,
you're cute. Like
yeah,
this is, and it was cute, right? And so it's still even in her like with the kendo stick going after
yes,
Statlander.
yes,
I'm still Willow and she's still cute and like I
yeah,
still want to hug her. It's
exactly.
like
Yes, and even when she was feuding with Sky Blue, like they were literally
mm-hmm,
such good friends. Like even with which I love her too as well, Sky Blue. I'm waiting
mm-hmm.
for her to come back. I'm still like, come back.
Same,
Like,
same.
yeah, I know she has her injuries, so I'm like, yes, come back already. But same thing with her. Like, I liked when she went heel. I did. I was like, oh, okay, because I had only ever seen her as like a baby face, even when she was in the Indies. I'd
Her
seen her
development
times.
has been insane.
And
And
I've
she's one of the wrestlers. So even though she was signed at AEW, she took advantage of like indie wrestling and she still was doing indie shows and she was on Dark and she was doing all of these things. Like she's a person who like she was at Ring of Honor. She benefited so much from the
travel.
indie shows and putting in the work and traveling. Like, and I'm not saying she was a bad wrestler. She was good, but you definitely could see like her progression as the weeks went on. And even before she got injured, like it sucks the timing of that. I mean, no one wants to get injured, right? But like it was like you were doing so good. Like I loved it. She changed like her gear up. She changed her look. Like she leaned into the fact that she's gorgeous. Like I want her back so bad.
Yes, definitely. Because there was a lot of women that I feel like same, like they were, since they're allowed to go to the indies still and wrestle there, it helps them learn even more. Because, kind of, you have to do what the AEW and WWE moves they want you to do. But when they were in the indies, it was more, they had more freedom. Same thing in like in JPW, they have more freedom to try out new moves, to create new finishers, to get their finishers in the indies and have those girls making their own variations of yours, like the Code Blue, where everyone started doing the Code Blue to everybody. You know what I mean? Like it was cute. It was great, and I very much enjoy that. Like that's what I do love about the indies, is watching these women go from when they first start to just catapulting themselves into making sure when they do get signed, they're getting those contracts with the higher pay because they're worth it. Like, look what I did in the indies. Like, look what I did getting to here. Like, look at me.
My fan base.
Yeah,
Look at,
exactly.
yes.
That's what I do.
I miss it. I miss her. And I wish AEW took their women's division a little bit more seriously. They definitely have enough women there. Like what Anna Jay is doing over in NJPW right now. Like where is she at on AEW TV? Like, she's out proving that she can wrestle, because if you can hang in NJPW, you can hang anywhere.
Yeah,
Those
exactly.
girls hit hard. Those girls are doing insane moves. Those girls are working the mic in a different country. So like, it's a
Yeah,
whole different level
exactly.
of like, you're not at home where things are normal and things are, you're in a different country where you have to learn like
Hmm.
how to work the mic for them.
And
Working the
you get
mic
to learn how
for
to
a
fly. Like, I love that they get to do like, oh, I love it. I
mm-hmm.
love that they get to just be free. That's what I was saying. Like, they get to be free, they get to fly, they get to injure themselves and be like whoopsies, and not get.
They get to test stuff out. They get a chance,
Yeah.
like you mentioned, like they get a chance to try a new finisher, perfect something, learn something
Mhm.
new. It's funny because when Marina Shafir popped up with Mox, everyone was surprised, and I was like, "Why? She's been over it. She's been at all of the NJPW shows. Like, go back and look. She
Yeah, like,
literally
she's
was."
powerful, she's strong, and she was
Mm-hmm.
ready. But I feel the same way about like WWE. I don't understand what they're doing with the women at this point. Like,
Yeah, I don't get
NXT,
it.
they're doing so good with developing the women and all that. But then it's like by the time they get to the main rosters, it's like not that they're done, but it's like they don't get utilized. Like, I don't
There's
understand.
not a good transition
Yeah,
from NXT to WW from I'm sorry, to the main roster.
at
Like, they
all.
had a whole thing for my gosh, what is her name? She's out injured right now. She was in NXT. She just got the call up.
Oh,
Um
Indy Hartwell.
Indy Hartwell, honestly, a few of them
Hmm.
where it's like, what are y'all doing? And then like what also like disheartens me to my soul is Mrs. Johnny Wrestling. Like, what are y'all like? Do y'all not know that she is the GOAT? Like, I guarantee you she's trained your favorites. So like, why is it that she gets like no pop?
Yes. It's
Like,
because you don't
it
see them
doesn't.
enough. Like, that's why I think the house shows that they're doing now, the live shows, it's gonna help them out a lot because they can showcase everybody else now. And that's what the problem is with these short shows and then all these stories. Like, it's like they started all these stories, gave the money to all these, other wrestlers, and now it's like they don't know what to do with them now. Like, all we see is Rhea and Liv,
Mm-hmm.
and then what is it? The Pure Fusion, right? That's their
I
name.
don't even know what they're called. It
Yeah,
doesn't matter what
those
they're called,
girls,
honestly.
like,
It doesn't matter. I know who you're
yeah,
talking about.
exactly. Like, it's
But
like
like, what is
you're,
that?
yeah, you're giving us not what we're asking for. Like Zoe, Shayna, like, it's not that we don't want them, but it's like we want to see them a certain type of wrestling. Like, we don't want to see them doing what they're doing right now. We want to see them hitting each other hard, going at these other girls, like that kind of thing.
Shayna is a badass. But
Yes,
no, I just need
exactly.
her to like let her run, let her rock. Like, what are y'all doing? Zoe actually has one of my favorite finishers, but unfortunately don't know how to take it. So it doesn't look that clean, it doesn't look that crisp because no one's taking it right. But she actually has one of the best finishers I've seen, honestly.
Yeah, I just don't
Um,
understand all the teaming up they're doing. Like, there's so
Not
many
everybody needs
women.
a faction.
Yes, why do we need factions? Like, I get, like, if, I guess that's how they're maybe thinking, like, this is how we're going to show people multiple people. But it's like, just put them in the ring for 5 to 10 minutes instead
But
of.
if it's not cohesive, then you're
Mhm.
not showing me anything. Like the faction we just mentioned with Zoe Stark and Sonya Deville and what's her face. Like, it just and so it doesn't, it's not doing it for me.
Yeah, it's not entertaining anybody for real, I feel like. And then I was glad to get Jade and Bianca back on the belts because they're like the only people I can think that can move around together and have that like attention on the belts. Because then you end up like Liv Morgan. What are you really fighting for the belt? Like, this championship is so weird. I don't like that's why I'm like, I don't understand what you guys are doing. Like, she's literally had the belt, and yes, she's defending it, but she's only doing it like at house shows. And once again, that's not on TV. So you're not getting, we're not, it's not getting the attention it actually needs at the house show. Like, if you're going to have her have the belt, have her have a match every week. Like, fuck Judgment Day, get
So
them
it's
out of the way.
funny. I actually just saw a stat and it said that Rhea Ripley has not fought on regular TV since the beginning of January.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Like,
she
we're
had this
waiting.
championship for a while. I guess she was out hurt for a little bit, but she had the strap for a while before she got hurt.
Yeah,
And
they're
she
not
just they
having the
just
women defend it, and I don't get why. Because there's so many like women you can put them against. Like, have them train with each other. Like, I find it hard to believe that the women's locker room, like, that they don't get along with each other.
same.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, there can't be that much beef between these women that we can't get them in the ring together.
But also, if there is beef, throw them in the ring.
Yeah, exactly. Like, let them
You're
throw
still there to
it
do a
down.
job,
Yeah.
regardless to if I like you or not. Like, I have
Mhm.
to do a job. So, like,
Yeah, this is
literally,
you're my
like,
coworker. We gotta get like let's get it in because like same thing like
hmm
with Nia Jax holding the belt. I think she's done great with it because she's actually defending it. Like, yeah, it's kind of against the same women over and over, but at least her belts, you're seeing her belt. You're seeing
hmm
that that's a belt that people want. Like, there's so many people fighting for her belt right now. Like Bailey, they got Naomi, they got Tiffany with her little briefcase. Like, oh, am I gonna do it this week? Which
hmm
I'm positive her and Naomi have to be the ones turning heel soon at some
I
point.
cannot wait for the Naomi heel turn. Let me
Yes,
tell
it's gonna
you,
be so good. I love her when she's a
I
heel.
cannot wait for her heel turn. Like, I see it coming. Everyone's like, "What about the Jade and Bianca?" And I was like, "Yeah, I don't care about that. They both can play a heel, but like, give me
Yeah.
Naomi heel turn." Like,
Exactly. Like that's what everyone's waiting for because like, if you're not going to put a belt on our girl, like fuck it. Let her just go beat up the roster at this point. Like
hmm
let her be the one to showcase all this, but have her winning the matches, not losing them. She's such a good veteran. Her Bianca, like, why are they losing matches? Like it doesn't make sense. Like
hmm
even with damage control, which I love, I really do like damage control. I like Asuka, I like Kyrie, I like Io. My favorite was when she jumped off the top of the cage in the trash can. Like that
hmm
shit got me. I was like, oh, I love this girl.
hmm
Because
And
like I
JPW girls, so they're used to getting
Yes.
physical.
Yeah, and I hadn't seen her like too much before. Like I said, I only was getting back into it since 2020. So like I really am just learning some of these girls, but I've been highly entertained by them. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, they definitely deserve to be here, but why aren't they being used? Why is it the same girls fighting the same people? Like they have to have chemistry. Like I don't understand. Like if they're in send them back to the performance center and have them wrestle. You know what I mean? There, get them
hmm
trained, get them something, or let them go to the indies at this point and go back and just hang out with people like they're doing with Jordan Grace. Jordan's everywhere. She's allowed to
Oh
move
my
around.
gosh.
And I like
hmm
her too. Like same thing, same. They're utilizing her great, which is like, how are you using someone that's I get she's not officially signed so she can move around, but why won't you let your main roster people if you're not gonna show them
So
on
I
TV?
actually wanted to see her take the strap off of Roxanne. Not gonna lie to you. I'm glad. I mean, I see why they didn't. Obviously, they were building up, but I would not have been disappointed if she actually had beat Roxanne for her title and they had put the NXT title on her
I
and
always
had the Impact or
yes,
the
I
TNA
love
champion. I
Roxanne. Every single time they've been like, she's gonna lose. I'm like, nah, my girl's winning, guys. That's Roxy. Like she's from Texas, and that's who she was before, like Roxy. I'm like, this girl's great. That's what I was telling you. Like when people are like, she's too small, she can't go to main roster.
I
I'm
don't think
like,
that matters.
what?
Sasha was small.
Yeah,
Io
she's out there. Yeah,
small. All
exactly.
those girls are small.
Like these are not tall women. Like I didn't know like going when I first started going to wrestling shows too. I was like, oh, everyone's gonna be as tall as me. And then I get there and they're like 5'3", 5'2". And I'm like,
Or
oh,
11.
I'm tall. Like, oh my gosh, like, and I'm not even tall. I'm only like 5'6".
hmm
So it was like,
But
oh,
compared
okay.
to these girls, yeah, you're tall.
Yeah, exactly. And I'd be like, oh, you're like, oh, because even there's when I meet people, I'm always like, I feel like I meet people's height because I'm always like, everyone I meet, they're usually 5'3", and I'm like, no, we're the same height, guys. Like, I don't understand. I'm looking you in your eyes when we're talking. Like, we have to be the same height. So,
Like, no.
and they're like, no, I'm literally 3 inches shorter. I don't think so. I'm not seeing what you're seeing. So, but yeah,
I love that.
yes, I do.
So before we get out of here, we're gonna play a
Mhm.
quick game of our speed round.
Okay. Oh,
So we're gonna hit you with a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Are you ready?
mm-hmm.
All right. Nikki. You know I was gonna ask the Bella twins, right? Which
Okay.
Bella's in? Nikki? Which is your favorite?
Um,
Nikki or Brie?
I feel like I liked Brie more. I liked Brie
Brie mode?
mode. I like the Brie mode more than Nikki. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Bianca or Jade?
Oh no. I'm gonna have to go with Bianca. I've loved her longer. You know what I mean? I have to.
Malachi Black or Aleister Black? So his WWE version or the AEW version?
Ooh, I like the AEW version. I do.
Sasha or Bailey?
Ooh, I'm gonna have to go with
And
Bailey.
Sasha.
My
All
thick,
right.
thick, my thick Bailey over there. I have to go Bailey.
BBL Bailey.
Yes, exactly.
Nyla Rose or Sunny Kiss?
Oh, Nyla Rose, I love her so much. I follow her on
Her
Twitter.
personality. Yes, I love
Yes,
seeing her. She is
she's
so
so
fun.
fun. Her having that giant skeleton on her couch. When she posted that, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Naomi or Trinity?
Trinity. I liked her as yes, Trinity. Yes, I liked her as Trinity more.
Rhea or Liv?
Oh, Rhea, of course. Oh my gosh, yeah. Oh my gosh, no question. Yeah, no, not even question.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Ice cream or cake?
Oh, cake. I can't do ice cream. I can do like froyo, but I think I haven't been tested, but I'm positive I'm like lactose intolerant. But I love
That's
cake.
like
Cake.
everyone, so I understand.
I love cake and pies. Those are my like sweet things that I love. Like
Mm,
I always have a birthday pie, so yes.
no judgment.
Hmm.
Kiera Hogan or Tasha Steele?
Ooh, Tasha Steele. Tasha Steele for sure.
Ricky Starks or Daniel Garcia?
Only because I've met Ricky Stark, I'm gonna say Ricky Stark.
Princess Tiana or Princess Jasmine?
Oh, Tiana for sure. Not that I don't, not Jasmine was one of my original loves, but no, when
She was
Tiana,
my OG, and then Tiana came around. I was like, okay, I have to switch it out. Like,
yes,
she's a good second.
my daughter, like, ugh, I know all the songs when my daughters were younger and they were into Tiana. It was like the greatest thing. I said, thank God there's finally a black woman for my daughters to see because all they were seeing, was white princesses. Jasmine was there. Like maybe
Jasmine was the
that.
best we had. Was Brown was Jasmine. That's like all
Mhm,
we had. Obviously, she was not black, but she was
mhm.
brown. So we were like, all
Yeah.
right, this is what we
And
got.
I
So we're gonna
mean,
roll with
people
it.
had Mulan and like stuff like that. But
There's
yeah, there
Cinderella.
was.
There's Snow White. There's all of
Mhm,
the things. Pocahontas. Like,
mhm. Yes,
all
and I
right, we
had
got
just
our
never seen
representation.
my daughters had seen Aladdin, but I like it wasn't until they saw like another black girl like them, like, oh my gosh, like this is someone that looks like me. Because one of my daughters, I will say, like their shades are darker and lighter. So my darker daughter, she definitely once she saw Tiana, like it was the biggest confidence boost for her.
I love
It was
that.
like, yes, like, oh my gosh, like look, there's someone like me, not like you. Like they would do that to each other, like, ooh, she looks more like me. And I'm like, number one, you both are beautiful. Like everyone is beautiful in
Right.
this scenario. So yeah, they were just like, it was really beautiful to me to be able to see that. And they were so young at the time when they came out, because my daughters were born 2011 and 2012. So that's
Hmm.
kind of when everything started kind of being more inclusive at that time. So that helped out a lot with them growing up. Like they're the kind of girls, like, you're gonna get a compliment once they meet you. They'll be like, "Ooh, I like your nails. Ooh, I like." They'll find something to just love
They're the
about
girls, girls.
you. Mhm, exactly. They'll be like, "Your eyelashes are so cute," or you. They'll find something. Like I've never seen. Like my daughters can make so many women blush, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, guys! Like you guys are great." So yeah.
I love that. They sound
Mhm,
very like in tune. I love that. And I mean that goes to you as a
mhm,
mom because like those things aren't learned in school. Like that's learned from
mhm.
your environment and learned from your mom. So like kudos to you because
Yes.
mommies need love too. And
Mhm,
last one, lip
mhm.
gloss or ladders?
Uh, Lip gloss, because I'm clumsy. Can't do ladders. Can't do ladders. Lip gloss. No, I will. No, I don't climb ladders. I don't like stairs too much. I'm very clumsy. Despite me wrestling when I was younger, I'm very, very clumsy. So yeah, definitely lip gloss for sure.
Well, thank you for spending time with me. Can you
Yes.
let people know where to find you at on social media?
Yes, it'll be DeeTheMachine24. I have Instagram and Twitter, and that's it. So if you ever see like a TikTok, a Facebook, anything like that, that is not me. I swear to God, that is not me. So I've had friends that are like, hey, this person asked me, is this you? Like, someone asked me for money. I was like, number one, I would not ask you for money. I would probably give you money before I take it, but no, that's not me. So yeah. But yeah, DeeTheMachine24, that's my handle everywhere right now.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us tonight, and hopefully we will see you soon.
Yeah.
Everybody have a good one. Thanks.
Oh my gosh.